I'm Keith Dowdle. I'm with Cycle News Magazine, and this is the 2024 Honda Transalp. We've been waiting a long time for this motorcycle to come to the U.S. Our friends in Europe have had it a little while now, and we've been quite jealous. But now it's our turn. We get to ride this thing, and we've spent 2 days now riding in this absolutely gorgeous location. We're up in Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania. We rode these motorcycles on the BDR-X route. It's like an excursion route off of the MA-BDR. And it's fall, the leaves were changing. Absolutely gorgeous time of year to be up here riding the BDR, and especially on a brand new motorcycle. Who could ask for more, right? So I'm not gonna get into the nitty-gritty of the specs and weights and wheel sizes and all the different stuff like that. You can read about all that in the article. I'm just gonna talk about what the riding experience was like to ride this great new motorcycle. And it is great. This bike is, I'll tell you, I honestly came to this press intro thinking, well, let's face it, it's a Honda. It'll probably be overweight. It'll probably be underpowered. You know, like some of their bikes have been, very frankly, in the past. But this bike was not that way at all. I was pleasantly surprised at how this motorcycle rides, how the weight is distributed. It doesn't feel top heavy at all. The motorcycle, when it's underneath you, just has a real flickable feel, whether you're on the road or off-road, which is where we rode it. As you can see by looking at it, it's quite dirty. We spent most of our time off-road, and if you're an adventure bike rider, that's where you want to be, is out in the woods, and that's where we rode these bikes. And I'll tell you, this bike, retail price on this motorcycle is going to be $99.99, so $9,999 for a motorcycle that has a complete electronics package, including all of the changeable modes, the power modes, the engine braking modes, the traction modes, the ABS modes. So there's four or five different modes. There's a standard mode, there's a rain mode, there's a gravel mode, which I'll talk about more in detail in a minute. And then there's a user mode where you can fine tune everything just the way you want it. So those modes for a motorcycle that's under $10,000 in the electronics space, and it's got a quick shifter to top it all off. And the quick shifter works absolutely flawless. So you've got all these modes to work with. You can change them infinitely when you get into the user mode. All of the preset modes are preset. You can't change them. But frankly, they were all very good. The gravel mode, which I told you I'd hit on a little bit, I didn't really prefer it for my riding style. I like the back end to slide around. I like to slide the back going into the turn with the brake. I like to power out of the turn, coming out of the turn. So I want that back wheel to be loose. And you can only get that if you go into the user mode and turn off ABS and traction control altogether. Once you do that and you get the bike set the way you want it, it is an absolute blast to ride. The bike does not feel top heavy. Referencing the Yamaha Tenere 700, which is basically the best comparable competitor to this motorcycle, the Tenere has a little top-heavy feel to it, right? There's no electronics either. So this bike, it doesn't really have that top-heavy feel. The weight is very low. The center of gravity on the bike feels like it's where the weight should be. So if you get into real technical off-road and you're like tippy-toeing, you can't quite get your foot down or whatever, you don't feel like you're gonna just fall over because the bike is top heavy. The way the bike centers its gravity, the center of gravity on the bike, just makes it so that it's very, very easy to handle off-road. The only complaint I have about any of the modes is that in typical fashion, with a lot of these adventure bikes, if you turn the key off after you've got your user preferences set, they go back to a default mode where your ABS is on and your traction control mode is on, all right? I frankly can't stand that, but I get why manufacturers do it, but you can easily go back to it, and the more you ride, the more you play with the electronics on the motorcycle, the easier it becomes, right? At first, it's kind of a pain because you're not really sure how to do it, but once you figure out how to do it, it's very easy to do, and then frankly, most of the journalists on this ride, once we had our user set up the way we wanted it for off-road riding, you'll see a whole line of bikes when we're stopped and just talking and the key's left on. So if you leave the key on, the settings all stay the way you want them. If you turn the key off, it all reverts back. So use the kill switch to turn the bike off and don't turn the key off, and those settings will stay there. The road bike modes, the road, rain, standard modes, they all were fine. I didn't have a problem with any of those. And talking about the quick shifter again, man, it's incredible. It has 3 different settings. You can set it to like a firm setting, a harder setting, or a medium setting, depending on how you like to rev the bike. So I like to really rev the bike. It started in the medium setting for the quick shifter. I changed it to what they call the hard setting, and it really made a difference. I mean, you can stay wide open, shift up, shift down. It blips for you, so it'll blip the throttle when you're downshifting into a turn or something like that. I found it just an absolute joy to use the quick shifter, and frankly, once I got rolling, I didn't touch the clutch anymore at all, ever on this bike. The quick shifter is that good. It's flawless. And again, to get a motorcycle with this much electronics, the TFT screen, which you can adjust it to read RPM, you can adjust it to read your speed. It's got several different displays here so that you can set it up to whatever you want to see. And I mean, the bike it's incredible that Honda can come with a motorcycle for under $10,000 that can do what this bike can do. Now, if you're a hardcore, really aggressive off-road rider, you're probably going to want to do some suspension work because, yeah, we bottom the suspension quite a bit. That's where manufacturers save money, right? But most guys are not going to ride it like that. If you're not going to ride it in hardcore, really technical terrain, this motorcycle is going to blow your mind right off the showroom floor. If you want to get out there and really go for it, a little bit of fine-tuning in the suspension here and there, and you will have yourself a motorcycle that you will be absolutely thrilled with. So, this is the 2024 Honda Transalp. Check it out.